children of any religion, any race, any socioeconomic area, the Main Street Theater services them. The other groups, and we're not calling them religious groups, are groups that function for a particular group of people and not for the island as a whole. It's very, I mean, whether everybody on the island uses them is not the question. The question is, or the issue is that it is open to everyone in the community. It is there for everyone in the community. It does not require any particular belief. There is a everybody, every religious organization is open to anybody. I've heard that. That's nice.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just curious, does any organization that fit the same criteria will get the same treatment?
Yes, we are actually the Garden Club, actually eventually the Youth Center. Yes, everybody will get that. Everybody who provides these community broader services.
Is there a definition of what?
It's not my definition. It is a definition.
Is there?
Yes.
Available?
We have a general development plan that's part of our lease, and it specifically mentioned things like youth center, like the theater, like things for the community, that a community should have these kind of entities. And they were in fact built initially. There was, I believe, some HUD money that went into the theater. There was money to build these particular organizations up. And over the last 30 years. I know, and that's why I'm just explaining. Let me finish.
Is this information available?
It's in the general development plan. Yes, it's in the general development plan, which is public information. But also, over the years, the Main Street Theater, in addition, have made considerable investments on their own, on the upkeep of this particular facility, and they deserve to get that investment back. So it wasn't just blood, sweat, and tears, it was actual dollars.
Yeah, to add to this point about this definition of being open to everyone, and it was mentioned that, yeah, religious organizations are open to everyone. I mean, if I want to mention our specific case, I truly believe at least half of the work of the Muslims on the island, as well as Muslims in America, is outreach work in terms of, communicating with those who are not Muslim or do not relate to the Muslim faith, and, conveying to them what Islam is and dispelling loads and loads of misconceptions. Especially today, I don't need to mention the points of relevance. You can just check the newspaper today for what's going on and how that affects us as a community. So I think this definition of being service for community to being service for like a closed group, I don't see how it can solidly take us out when I can argue back like this. That's where I think we're getting some confusion.
I think you need to go back to the original creation of the island and what's listed in the general development plan as the responsibility of RIOC to provide for the community. And there is no provision made for any kind of...
We as a state agency are not required to, nor can we, provide space for all religious organizations for their worship. We're not treating any religious organization differently. In fact, we're not even viewing it as a religious organization. You are viewing it as an organization. In any other place, in my knowledge, and maybe it's not that wide, but a religious organization that either rents or buys a building. And when they buy the building, they may not pay taxes, but they do have maintenance, and in fact, they pay certain taxes because they're considered services such as water and utilities. So, therefore, it is not beyond belief that we would ask that this organization, whatever it is, would pay a certain fee for use of the area. Many theaters are...
Okay.
I live here too, I'm simply asking...
Well, we're moving a little bit far afield
from... that makes that separate.
But I have you ever seen the lease or the general development plan for the island?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so you can see in there that it specifically mentions recreational activities.
Oh, and so the definition is recreation.
I'm sorry?
Wait. The definition is recreation.
We're existing there a little.
Okay, yeah, all I'm saying is it is written, you're asking where it's written,
No,
I'm
my
saying.
question is, what is the definition of what can I see? I live here too, I'm a resident here too, besides my representation, and I did not make any statement or comment about it, I just asked a very simple question. What criteria exists and where can I see it?
The criteria is not, religious organizations
Well,
do
Wait,
not.
just wait, everyone.
I'm not talking about it in context of religious.
Please. What, the agenda item is to review the proposed cultural center, Main Street Theater Dance Alliance use agreement. So what we're talking about is not possession, it's use. And unfortunately, I managed not to have the text of those two agreements with me.
Yeah, I think Don,
it would be a non-exclusive operating license agreement, so it would, my understanding is that the Main Street Theater, to say Main Street Theater, it's easier to say that way, will, and Donna, correct me if I'm wrong, for other spaces outside of this theater, if they have to permit out that space, they're subject to the same rates as everyone else. What Margie was saying, which is accurate, is in the general development plan for Roosevelt Island, there's language about a comprehensive set of community facilities. There's some suggested stuff like youth centers, community centers, that type of thing. And a similar thing to that is a theater that's been here on the island for many, many years. I've been working on the island for 3 years, but I've seen all these faces out here and know a lot of long-time residents, and you hear over and over again how long the theater has been here and how great the theater has been for the community. So with the cultural center now finally renovated, with all the other spaces going to be permitted out on an equal basis for everyone under the terms Donna had shared, we are of the opinion that the theater is the type of community facility that is good for the island. We at RIOC don't run theaters, we don't know how to run theaters, so what we are proposing to do is to enter into a non-exclusive operating license agreement with the Main Street Theater, where they would essentially help run the theater and upkeep the theater. However, they would not have exclusive use of the theater. So if another group came in and wanted to use the theater for theater activities, they could use it. How that scheduling will be done will be worked out, and Donna will know more about that. And that is essentially what will be going into the agreement. We still have to review the agreement with the theater people and see that we can agree on everything, but that is the general idea.
And so this agreement encompasses the space we're sitting in now.
Yeah, it encompasses the space here, it's just the theater, there's a little storage area, and there's also a workroom.
Okay.
And if anyone else uses the theater for other shows, productions, performance-based activity, all those other areas will be made available to them as well.
Dressing.
Yeah, everything, right.
Anything you need to run.
So the essence of this agreement
And one other point is, I pointed to Donna for the scheduling. The idea would be too, is my understanding, and I'm not sure, that the theater generally puts on around 4 performances a year, is that correct? Is that in advance of entering into the agreement, you guys would give Donna a schedule of what your events are going to be. We would have that for us to sign, and then if anyone else comes forward and wants to use it in times where you don't need it for those events, they can use the theater as well for performance-type activities.
So, again, my understanding of the agreement, which I should have read more closely, that the Main Street Theater Dance Alliance would enjoy use of this space and these ancillary spaces, provided no one else is stepping forward to run a separate and different production.
That's true, but we also are, because they are giving us a schedule, they will have the security, much like the other groups, giving us a schedule, has the security using it within those times. So it's not, there is nothing in any of these proposals that look to usurp the use of areas.
Just one thing I wasn't terribly clear on. I'm assuming that includes giving them rehearsal time too.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as it's scheduled. You
Yeah,
just
okay.
need to know when the schedule is.
Okay.
So if there is another dance or theater group that wants to use the space, they will get it under the same conditions as the Main Street Theater? Or,
No, if another group comes in, there will be some fee associated with renting the space.
Because Main Street Theater is operating, as Don said, they're operating a theater really for us to be in conformance with our plan. You know, and providing,
And they will also have other responsibilities. They'll be responsible for non-structural things, they'll have insurance responsibilities, indemnification responsibilities, opening and closing responsibilities. So, you know, they have those type of responsibilities that another group may not necessarily have in some respects.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? This will be a matter for the board meeting next week. Okay, and last item on the agenda